this stuff can really burn up brain sugar. Okay, so in order to keep you from bonking out at the best possible moments, if you get hungry, if you get a sugar craving or whatever, unless you're here for curbing sugar cravings, then we'll work around that. Help yourself. Seriously. You'll find that the more oxytocin that gets into your system, regardless of how it gets there, actually makes it easier for you to change yourself. It's the biochemical basis for what the scientists call neuroplasticity. Okay? The best metaphor I can come up with a lot of times, everybody here knows what chicken wire is? Okay, it's this little it's this woven chain. It's very thin, very easy to shape. If you imagine the nerves in your that make up your brain as this interlinked chicken wire fence, it's pretty plastic. As you get older, it tends to get a little bit more rigid. But when oxytocin floods the system, it's like somebody took a blowtorch and started to heat up the chicken wire. And it gets really, really soft and flexible and changeable. And then you can easily move and reshape the neurological connections in your brain to be whatever you want it to be. And when the chicken wire cools off, that's what becomes permanent. Now, one of the ways that I can sneak change into you is to give you lots and lots of candy, specifically chocolate, okay? Aside from those wonderful good feelings you get, you also get a little rush of pleasure. Now, there's another way. Come on in. There's another way that you can create powerful change in yourself rapidly on a You're close. You've been to my other meetups. On a biochemical level. And that is through stimulating the release of oxytocin yourself through intense pleasure, intense joy. How many people here actually practice feeling really good for no friggin' reason? Okay, guess where we're starting today. Okay? You see, most of us spend a heck of a lot more time practicing crappy states and feeling crappy, or feeling stressed, or feeling tense, than we do feeling good. Okay? How many people here actually believe in something called the law of attraction? Raise your hands. Okay, good. How many people here actually make it work? Oh. We have more work to do, don't we? Do you ever wonder why? I did what the book says, why didn't it work? Maybe they left a few things out. They did. You see, one of the primary facets of the law of attraction, ladies and gentlemen, is that you will attract into your life whatever is energetically or vibrationally in harmony with your dominant thoughts. That's great. That's absolutely true. Except for one small problem. Your dominant thoughts are not what you think they are. You see, we think that our dominant thoughts are the ones we're aware of. We think that the dominant thoughts are the ones that we're consciously paying attention to and creating. No. Your dominant thoughts are the ideas, feelings, make note of that word, feelings, and beliefs that are percolating below the level of conscious awareness. They're your beliefs about what you deserve and what you can have and how it should happen for you. And for most of us, those beliefs are outside of conscious awareness. We default to those whenever we stop using our willpower. How many people here have ever heard the phrase, when the willpower and the imagination are in conflict, did I say that right? When the imagination and willpower are in conflict, the imagination always wins. How many have heard that before? Ooh, boy, we have a lot of work to do. Okay. If you're going to engage the law of attraction, ladies and gentlemen, you must learn to work with the imagination. Okay? Because your willpower only lasts for as long as you can consciously pay attention to something. And that only lasts for as long as you have enough blood sugar in your system and sleep. So you need to get a lot of sleep, and you need to eat on a regular basis the right kind of stuff. Yes?
So if I go to sleep at 3 or 4 in the morning studying and working and stuff, that's not good, huh? Sleeping 3 or 4 hours a day? Sometimes.
Well, if that, come on in, ladies and gentlemen, fine. If that's natural for you and it's productive, I'm not going to say don't do it, because I'm one of those people that I like to think I'm a morning person until I actually have to get up. Come on in, make yourselves at home. The truth of the matter is we all have to figure out what's right for us. There's a lot of agencies out there that will give us standardized protocols of how we should live our lives. I have a compound one-word answer for that. Begins with horse, ends with shit. If colorful metaphors and politically incorrect language offends you, if straight talk offends you, there's the door. Okay, I love each and every one of you. I'm excited to be here because I just got to make 60 new friends. I just met 60 people who are going to go out and change everybody's world by changing their own. So who the hell am I? You might ask. Because you all came here from something I wrote, right? But you don't really care about me, do you? Hell no.
Yes, we do.
I don't kid myself in the least. You're all here because you want something. Maybe more than one something. And my job today is to do everything in my power in the time we have to help you get what you want by your standards and your definitions. My name is David Snyder. I've been a personal change professional for over 20 years. Clinically, I'm a licensed acupuncturist. I have a diplomate of Oriental medicine. I'm a licensed trainer and practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming. I have more energy healing credentials than I care to list, but it starts with Reiki and ends with Theta, including pranic healing, pranic psychotherapy, Huna, and Qigong, with a little bit of magic thrown in. I'm a certified hypnosis trainer. My specialty clinically is dealing with organic illness that has as its source, as its cause, repressed emotion. My specialty is getting people healthy fast. What I'm going to share with you today are some of the techniques, the protocols, the concepts that I've discovered over the past 20-some years. Some are hypnotic, some are neurolinguistic, some come from social psychology, other fields of neuroscience. They're all proven and they all work. If you do them. On your chairs, you will see a video release. Please fill that out in case I call your wonderful butt up to the chair to get some free change work. Okay? On the other side of that, you will see, can I have one of those video releases real quick? On the other side of the video release, you will see a little questionnaire. This meetup for you is for you if you want to communicate more effectively with human beings. Just cross out the word clients, just say human beings. By the way, last I looked, you qualified as a human being. Okay? You'd like to help your children grow and learn faster while enjoying the process. Scratch out children, say yourself, because that's where we start. But if you have children and you want to learn, help them how to do some of this stuff for themselves, we start teaching our kids how to do this as early as possible. They'll have a completely different destiny. You want to overcome self-imposed limitations, eliminate blocks to your success, take your business or personal life to the next level. Say, amen, brother.
Amen.
Thank you. A couple of rules. If I ask you a question, you must answer vigorously, enthusiastically, like you really want to be here. Can you do that?
Yes.
Amen, brother. This means yes. This means no. There will be a test later. Okay? This means I know the answer. Please tell. I want to tell you the answer. This means I don't know the answer. This means, oh shit, please don't call on me. Okay? I'm going to just fill in however this fits for you. All right? Why don't we get what we want? You ever wonder? If the law of attraction works, why the heck do we always have to struggle? There's this word that comes up an awful lot, takes many forms. It's called resistance. Right? But what do we really know about it? How does it work? How does it affect us? Resistance actually has 3 subcategories within it. Self, other, truth. Right there, and there's a +1, by the way. Always has a guest. We call that reactance. We'll get into that in a minute. We inherently resist anything that contradicts how we see ourselves. In other words, self-image. I used to hang out with a guy named John Assaraf. How many people have heard of him? We used to belong to one of the same masterminds, and so I got the opportunity to have dinner with him once or twice. And John's pretty famous for saying, you cannot achieve any level of anything that contradicts or goes against or invalidates how you see yourself, your self-image. I found that to be true. There is one more missing ingredient. We'll just plug that in here right now. If you do not take action on anything, you will get nothing. I can't tell you how many forums I have visited where I hear this. This is almost verbatim. You know, I did my vision board, I did my affirmations, I waited by the phone and nothing happened. Sounds kind of silly, doesn't it? But you'll be amazed at how pervasive that kind of thinking is. When you begin a lot of the processes I'm going to teach you tonight, you will encounter resistance, you will encounter obstacles initially. You see, like learning any skill, we have to practice. We have to get good. There's 4 stages of learning. Does anybody here not know those? I know you're going to jump on it, Hawkeye. Anybody? How many people here do not know what the 4 stages of learning are? Raise your hands. It's okay not to say. Remember, this means I don't know. Please don't call me. I'm going to call on you. All right. 4 stages of learning. First one, unconscious incompetence. We don't know something. Period. End of story. I didn't know I'd fall if I walked off the ledge. Now I know. The minute we fall off the ledge and we learn something, we go to conscious incompetence. Now we're aware that there's something we don't know. However, this is where the problem starts. How many people here actually, I'm asking you guys a lot of questions because I like dialogue. But in a group this size, the more dialogue we have, the more questions I wind up taking, and the more off track we get. So I want to make sure that we have time to get through all the processes today. But how many here know that I'm actually a lifelong martial artist? Raise your hands if you don't know. If you don't know that, yes, I have an 8th degree black belt in Okinawan martial arts. I specialize in a lot of energy-based combat systems, Russian Systema, Tai Chi, Qigong. And in a lot of the arts that I do, I regularly associate with people who do the impossible. And I try to talk to people who don't do those things, who don't hang out with those kind of people. And I try to tell them about how these things work and how they can do them and how they're possible. And I usually get that big horseshit response. You ever try to tell somebody something that you saw for yourself and it just was outside of their belief system? They couldn't accept it or wouldn't? Yeah. Welcome to the barrier between unconscious or conscious incompetence and conscious competence. That's the next level, stage 3. You see, if what you're presented falls so far outside of what you think is possible, you will resist it. Now, if I can inject a strong enough experience into your worldview that you have no choice but to accept it, you are more likely to choose to go to stage 3, which is to decide to learn something. If only it were that easy. Because the more invested you are in a belief system, the more resistant you are to change unless you do some other stuff. When I used to teach people that it's possible to touch people on the bridge of their nose and make them go to sleep, first words out of their mouth began with bull, ended with shit. Okay? Until I touched them on the bridge of their nose and then had to wake them up. And you would think that having that level of experience would change a person's worldview. Because you have to choose what reality you want to live in. You have to choose to learn something new. You have to choose to get comfortable being a little bit uncomfortable. And in this context, ladies and gentlemen, that means unfamiliar. It means doing something with your mind and body that you've never done before, that may feel a little weird. But if you do, if you make that leap to the next level, your life will change. Some people have quantum leaps. Some people take little baby steps, and then they pick up speed. Because as you burn in these new neurological connections, as you make the connections between what you want, how your nervous system actually works, and how to put them into practice, you get better at it. Things will just start to happen. Almost like coincidences. Now, does that mean you can just kick back and let the little world slide? No. It means the return on the investment of energy that you put out gets better. When you first start, it may be, 10 pounds of effort gets you 1 pound of reward for a couple of weeks, or a couple of months. Then all of a sudden it goes 5 to 1. And then all of a sudden 1 to 2, or 1 to 1, and then 1 to 5, and then 1 to 6. That's the process. The more you do these exercises, the more you practice these drills, the more you take on these mindsets, the more rapidly these things will happen for you. Each and every one of you is unique. But the process is the same. That's the cool part. You're enough alike that I can teach you a universal technology, and different enough that you can express it your way. That's what's cool. After a while, you become unconsciously confident. Shit just starts happening, like breathing, like walking. Shit being a technical term, mind you. Secret hidden influence technologies. All right, so here's what I want you to do. First thing we're going to play with, she's already deep in rapport. She's going to have a major change tonight, I can tell. I want you to think, there's this problem that we have when we start manifesting, or start working on manifesting. Remember we talked about those beliefs we have, those beliefs we don't have? We instinctively resist anything that's in conflict with our self-image. So we have to get that part right. We have to clean our clocks, for lack of a better word. We have to take care of this. Does that make sense? We have to become the kind of person, a lady I deeply respect by the name of Taylor Sinclair. And actually, I'm quoting her mother, but I heard it through Taylor. Come on in. I heard it through Taylor. Taylor's clientele is almost exclusively female. And she's a fashion consultant, although she wouldn't term herself that way. But she said the most amazing thing, and it made such an impression on me that, and it's in harmony with this, that I really want you to get it. Write this down, tattoo it on your brain, whatever. You can have or be anything you want in life. You've heard that. But first, you must become the kind of person that that thing can happen to. Okay? And that's usually the problem. At some level, we're not the person we need to be or want to be. We're going to show you how to begin the process of getting there really fast. Okay? Second form of resistance is we inherently resist any communication or any attempt at change that contradicts how we think other people will see us. If I want to be rich, but there's a part of me that knows every one of my friends will hate me if I get rich, guess what? Probably not going to happen. It seems like it shouldn't be such a big deal. It's probably the biggest deal. There's an old trick. It's not actually an old trick, it's a relatively new trick, and it's actually very simple, just most people won't do it. How many people here would like to double their income? Raise your hands. If it's true. If it's not true, that's fine. Maybe you're a self-made millionaire, in which case I'm coming to your training. Okay? Here's a simple trick. Pick a place in this country or another country where people make the amount of money you want to make. Move there. That's it. Just move there. Within a couple of years, your income will grow. That is how powerful the people we associate with is. Okay? Come on in. I was 230 pounds for most of my life. I waffled between 190 at my skinniest and on 230 pounds. And I was a personal change expert. I taught people how to lose weight. Until I moved to Del Mar, where the fat people are interested. Right? And in 2006, I made a decision. And I have been roughly 155 pounds ever since. I'm happy to say I have a 100% success rate with weight loss, but I get about 3 a year. I don't get the usual stuff. I get people who have limbs that just stop working, tumors that come out of nowhere, cancers, things that people can't explain, jaws that won't stop clenching. And I go in and I fix it. That's what I get. I work mostly off medical referral. If I can do that with physiological illness, weight loss, not putting down you, if you're having weight issues, not putting you down, we can help. Because a lot of what we're doing are simply decisions that we've made and behaviors we're doing. And you can always change what you're doing. Okay? So we have to make sure that when we build in our visualizations, when we build in our mental movies, when we're going to do self-programming, that we make sure that we see ourselves in a way that makes us feel good about ourselves, that doesn't have any little reservations. And I want you to pay attention to this. As you're starting to go through some of the visualizations and exercises we do today, notice when you feel a little uneasy. Because those little background feelings, those little almost subliminal stresses or tensions or anxieties, that's what we need to clear out. It's not the big loud noises in our head, the conscious mind screaming. That's the problem. It's the background stuff. Okay? We need to start thinking differently if we want to think differently. When you're doing your visualizations, when you're creating your mental movies and putting them into your nervous system, pay attention to how you feel other people will view you. And build in the imagery. Build in the dialogues that you want people to be having in their heads as they view you and your level of success. Because if they're not in harmony, resistance will kick in. That make sense? Truth. We inherently resist anything that conflicts with what we know to be true. Welcome to the 4 stages of unconscious competence, right? When you get hit with level 2 to go to 3, you have to accept something that may go against what you believed to be true. So I'm not saying to disbelieve, although in the change work I do, I believe that change work is far too important to be left up to the belief systems of the client. So my stuff will work whether you believe it or not. Kind of a bold statement to make, especially in this room. But we can prove it. Okay? But we need to make sure that our truth is flexible enough to accept the new information. Does that make sense? The last thing, and this one is the sneakiest son of a bitch of all. How many people here are familiar with the term reactance? If you're not, you're going to learn about it. Hawk, can I use you for a sec? Yeah. You and your badass hat? Come on up here. Reactance is a psychological principle. It's the instinctive resistance that we create the moment we perceive any attempt at influence of any kind, whether it's something we actually say we want or something we don't consciously say we want, even if it's for our own good. If I, for instance, if let's say that Hawk and I are walking down the street, I'm going this way, he's starting to walk down, he's starting to cross the street, there's a bus coming. And I see the bus and Hawk doesn't, and I grab Hawk and I pull him. And I motivated him because I told him the bus was coming. But if he didn't know the bus was coming and he was intent on going his direction, the moment I pulled him, that would happen. You understand? How many people have ever tried to convince somebody of something for their own good? How many people here have had that person admit, hey, I know you're just trying to help, I know it's for my own good, I know I should do this, I'm going to do this anyway. Thank you, Hawk. That's reactance. We do this to ourselves. Believe it or not. It comes out in our language. In NLP, we talk about how your language is a mirror of how your thoughts are built. And if we can understand how the language reflects the structure of how we think, by changing one, we can change the other. Now, this is not a full class on NLP, but I want to start to make you more aware of certain things. Things that are always going on, they're hidden in plain sight, but they're outside of your conscious awareness. And anything outside of your awareness, ladies and gentlemen, is outside of your control. Period. I teach this stuff worldwide for a living. I'm one of the world's leading experts on conversational hypnosis. So they tell me. Of course, nobody ever really shows up, but... So, we talk about reactance. How many people here have ever heard or have ever heard themselves say something like this, or heard other people say this? You know what, I really want to lose weight. I want to fit back into the dress, the size I was in when I was in high school. I really need to go to the gym. Yes? No? Raise your hands. It's okay. Congratulations. You just put a big steaming pile of poop on your motivation. How does that work? Remember this whole reactance from, where's my freaking eraser? There we go. Am I overloading you guys, by the way? Is this?
No, it's good.
It's good stuff?
You're good.
All right. You see, whoa! You know what? I told them. Thank you, Enid. I told them to make sure that it's rooted in place so that if I write on it, it doesn't fall over. My mistake for telling them what I didn't want to happen. First rule about when you're programming yourself. The brain, especially the deeper into trance that you go, does not process negations very well. It doesn't process don'ts, can'ts, won'ts, shouldn'ts. In fact, visually, whenever you say the word don't, like I don't X or I won't Y, what your unconscious mind basically does first is it crosses this out and says I X. And then it says I Y. And then it tries desperately to erase it, which it can't do. Because neurologically you've already done it before you can undo it. Does that make sense? In the hypnosis term for it is called farzing. I don't know where that came from. It sounds an awful lot like fart to me. So, but you ever notice you can never say fart without somebody laughing? Okay, so where was I going with this? What was the last thing I said before the wall collapsed?
First rule, deeper you go.
Huh? Sorry?
Farzing.
No, before the farzing thing. Before I had the brain farce.
First rule, the deeper you go.
Talking about reactance.
Oh, reactance. Okay. There's two kinds of motivation that we have as human beings. Internally generated motivation and externally generated motivation. Now, NLP would say everybody is motivated towards pleasure and away from pain. That's true enough to be true, but a little bit too global to be useful. You guys know you have three brains, right? You don't have just one brain. You have three. You have your reptile brain, or what the Soviet scientists call your paleocortex. It's the part of you that thinks in terms of primal drive, safety, security, protect the gene pool, that kind of stuff. Is it easy? Is it painful? We move towards pleasure and away from pain on a neurological level. However, got to get a little bit more specific on how this works for us. Anytime we perceive, this is why I bring my own. Like I said, this is not my first rodeo. Anytime we perceive influence coming from outside of us, as a rule, we interpret it as pain. Anytime we generate the motivation from the inside, we focus on the things we want and why we want them, pleasure. Using that one principle, I can take anything you don't want to do and make you want to do it. Anybody want to challenge me? You. Is there something, And again, it's a test, not a contest. But is there something that you want, or you know you should do, but maybe you've been holding back on doing it, something you don't want to do? If there isn't, that's okay. I'm coming to your seminar. All right, you think I'll come back. How about you? I know there's something you've been putting off.
Yeah. I've been trying to do another YouTube video for my practice.
A YouTube pre-practice? What kind of practice do you do?
Chiropractic.
Oh, great, my wife's a chiropractor. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about that thing that you don't want to do, right? On a scale of 0 to 10, all I want you to do is rate how much you don't want to do it.
Okay, like a 6.
Cool. Now let me ask you a question, because it's your decision.
Okay.
Why might you want to do it? It's your decision to do it or not do it, but why might you want to do it?
To be more successful.
To be more successful?
Yeah.
What's important about that? I'm curious.
Being able to pay my bills.
Cool. I like that, right? So let me ask you this. Did I ask you to give me a number of how much you want to do it?
You said how much you don't want me to do.
Okay, why might you want to do it? Because you said it'd make you more money, make you more successful, right? A scale of 0 to 10, rate how much you want to do it.
6.
6? Why didn't you rate it less?
No.
What just happened to your desire to do it?
It went up.
All I did was ask you a question. You guys want to play with this? This is called the Autonomizer formula. It's part of the program I teach to my hypnotherapists. It's also something I teach in my conversational hypnosis courses. It was tested in emergency rooms and drug treatment seminars all over the country. Okay? I steal from the best. I find that anything psychology proves works 1,000 times better and more effectively in a hypnotic context. Because we acknowledge trance phenomena. They don't. But it works on this same principle. Anything we choose, we gain pleasure from. Didn't it start to feel better? The more you thought about it, the more you wanted it, right? Your reasons for doing anything, the best ones for you doing anything, are yours. And it doesn't matter how politically incorrect, socially unacceptable, or immoral they are. Now, all ethics aside, if you want to get the things you want in life, and you want to motivate and be successful, you have to focus on not society's reasons for why you should be doing something. That's handled by a different part of your brain. You need to focus on your reasons. If your reason for losing 20 pounds is so that when you go to your daughter's wedding, everybody you knew in high school chokes because they're 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight and you look better than ever, that's fine. That's your motivation. That's your drive. That feels good, doesn't it? Think about it. How many things we want in our life do we want out of revenge? Oh, that's politically incorrect. That's socially unacceptable. Horseshit. You got to understand how the machine works before you can start to change it. No, I'm not saying revenge is good. I'm saying it's the way you're wired. Use it. You could, yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to do to make it more practical and we understood. So there is a case we don't want to do something, but we need to do this. So we're just thinking, we're talking about this.
I'm going to give you the technique in a minute. I'm just going deep into the mechanics of it. Okay? Here's what you're going to do. Think of the thing you've been putting off, have been resisting doing. Though, how many people here are coaches or therapists? Raise your hand. It's okay. They all sneak in. Here's the deal. How many people here do stop smoking clients or things like that? If it's okay if you don't, but if you do, they're some of the toughest people to deal with. Why? Because they're there for every other reason but their own. Most of the time when we change, it's really not because we want to change. It's because somebody in our life wants us to change and we think we should. Sorry. But Let's say there's something we want to do, we know we should do, but we're just dragging our freaking feet. We just don't want to do it. List it. If you have paper, do this now. We'll do this all together just so you can experience it. And then what I want you to do, this is called the autonomization process, by the way. This is one of the secrets to how to make this work. The first thing to realize, ladies and gentlemen, is that you're in charge of your life. You're in charge of your brain. Not your wife, not your husband, not your daughter, not your spouse, not your grandkids, not your boss. You. You get to choose, yes or no, good or bad. Understand? You must put that in the process. If you don't get back your personal sense of autonomy, you will resist the change. Reactance is that inherent pushback anytime we sense a loss of personal freedom, whether it's for our own good or not. We must get that back. Realizing it's your choice. Ask yourself one simple question. Why might I want to do that? Not why will I do it? Why should I do it? Why might I want to do it? And answer the question. Answer the question. Either on paper or nice and loud in your head. Be aware now, as this comes up, at the risk of diluting the... Actually, you know what? I'll come back to that. Just remind me I have a sidebar. Now, once you've come up with the reason why you might want to do it, on a scale of 0 to 10, rate how strongly you might want to do that. And by the way, if it's only a 1, that's okay. That's the beauty of this. 0 to 10. Why might I want to do it? And then comes the magic question, which always gets this kind of response. Once you have a number, ask yourself, why didn't you rate it less? And listen to the answer. And as you listen to the answer, notice what happens to the desire to do it.
See the question again? No, what are we supposed to ask? One, decide like mine is a 9, which is video, creating videos for YouTube.
Okay.
Actually.
Right, and it's something you've been putting off?
My American plumbing business, but yeah, and it's very desirable, but I haven't done it. It's
Okay.
a 9. What was the question though?
Why might you want to go ahead and do that?
Right, I got that. And
On a scale of 0 to 10,
it's a 9.
how much do you want to do it? On a 9, right? Let me ask you this. Why didn't you rate that less?
Because I know if I want to be successful, if I want to make money, I got to
You hear his
create all the
voice?
videos.
You think his desire to do it just went up?
Okay, what was those words now? The question?
Why might I, or why didn't you rate it less?
Why didn't I rate it? Thank you.
Let me tell you how pervasive this phenomenon is. I've used this to take away pain. I had a guy in my last hypnotherapy and NLP training had a problem with his finger. It was just bugging the hell out of him. And I said, well, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much do you want it to feel better? Or I forget exactly the words I used. But I basically asked him why he didn't rate it more, which is the inverse of what I just did you. And his pain went from a 6 to a 4. So I had him do it again, and it went from a 4 to a 2. And I had him do it again, and it just kept dropping. You see, on a neurological level, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's an emotion, a belief, or a sensation, it's all information to your nervous system. In many of the things that I teach, I can deal with emotional issues just like I can deal with physiological problems. Because they're all behaviors based on the information the nervous system is processing at the time. The question is, what information are you running through your system? Is it getting you what you want? If not,
Not so far.
we'll tweak it, right? But we need to know how the system works, right? We need to have a basic understanding of how to make this happen, right? I have a ton of YouTube. If you guys want to see some of this stuff, I mean, we do rapid change. I mean, I take stuff away. I had one lady just, her name is Christine, wonderful lady. She's coming to my next hypnotherapy certification 2 weeks from now. And I taught her what we call speed healing, which is basically a way to zero in on the information creating this specific physiological problem. And the first time we demoed this, it was on back pain, and I've been testing it pretty rigorously for the past 5 or 6 years. Last year I went out to Orlando, and I zapped somebody's cancer. He went back, had his tests, and I think its tumor size, I forget what it was, it cut by 50% because we targeted the emotional reason why he generated the problem in the first place. I taught this at our last training, and Christine went back, and I told her, never do this stuff on your family because you got boundary issues left and right, but there was nobody to do the work, so she had to work with her husband. Her husband had prostate cancer. She used a rapid energy spinning technique. He went to the doctor. His PSA dropped 40%. The entire intervention takes 2 minutes or less. Does change always happen fast? Not always. But when you understand how the system works and you stick with it, you can have anything you want. So, your choice, 0 to 10, how much you might want to do it. Why didn't you rate it less? How many people have already done the exercise? Raise your hands if you haven't. If not, do it now. How many people noticed a definite change and a definite shift in their desire to do something? Raise your hands. Okay.
David,
Yes, sir.
the question is, I do want to do it, but I don't do it. So,
Okay. Because?
because of my appearance, I don't want to appear on videos that I'm fat.
Oh, okay. So there's something else you need to get out of the way first. Right?
Yes.
Notice, now, all I did here was use a simple one. This is, in NLP, we call this cause and effect. We talk about beliefs, right? Most people, when they talk about their beliefs, they only give you 1/2 of the belief. If you only have 1/2 of the belief, you can't fix it. You got to know both sides. Simple way to do that, somebody says they want something, just ask because. And they will generate the other half of the belief. So now what do you want to do in order to be good enough to get on camera?
Lose weight.
Okay. So on a scale of 0 to 10, how much do you want to lose weight?
A 9.5.
9.5? Cool. You sure?
Positive.
You're really sure?
Yes.
Why didn't you rate it less?
That's the thing to get me from point A to point B.
Okay. So what's going to happen now?
I'm going to lose weight. It'll be my
Can it really be that simple? You notice he went from I want to I should to I'm going to. I'm gonna. In NLP, this is where we're going with this, by the way. In NLP, we have this thing called modal operators. These are things we say. When people say, or when they're internally motivated, when they're moving towards pleasure, they say things like, I'm gonna. I want to. That's the category. There's a very definite physical desire for it. When they're perceiving the motivation as coming from outside of themselves, they use words like should, need to, have to. Many times we screw ourselves up because we say, I want to do X, I need to do Y. So we get this desire, but then we start to put the brakes on in terms of our actions. So anybody here do self-programming, affirmations, visualizations, things like that? When you do your affirmations, your visualizations, how much of this is going on? Subtle things that create resistance in the background, create reactance.
When you just say thank you.
Sorry?
When you just say thank you.
Thank you.
Just kind of on your affirmations.
Yep. Again, many different ways to do affirmations, but we need to understand the reptile's in charge. And if we don't understand this whole pleasure-pain thing, we tend to create our own resistance in spite of ourselves. Does that make sense? Okay.
I'm
So
sorry, Dave, reptile is what part?
your paleocortex, it's the brainstem. It's the most primitive part of you. It's the part of you that thinks in terms of primal drives. It's the part of you that doesn't go to heaven.
Okay, and so is there
He gets that.
conscious or unconscious?
It's highly unconscious.
So-
Highly unconscious. If you want to get people's attention, you need to kick them in the brainstem.
Or or do you call it do you consider it your unconscious thoughts or your subconscious thoughts or something like that, or your paleo?
Think of it this way.
Or how do you?
Do you want me to go into this, guys? Yes or no? Raise your hands if you want me to go into this.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Real quick. Because again, I want to start putting you guys through some drills if I can.
Before you erase that, Bill,
Uh-huh.
you had a sidebar on number 2. You started to say something.
Oh, yeah, thank you. When you guys were generating your reasons of how much you want to do something or why you wanted to do something, did you notice any of those feelings of uneasiness sneaking in?
Yes.
It's like, I want to do this because, and the reason came up and it was like, that's icky. Guess what? You just found a belief you didn't know you had. You just found the roots of your own resistance. That tells you where you need to go. You know, there's this old saying, how many people have heard the saying, firemen are trained to run into a burning building when everybody else is running out?
Yes.
Okay? How many people here would consider firemen to be kind of heroic? Okay. Remember, all the victims run out of the burning building. The heroes run in. Be a hero. Get comfortable finding those things, understanding why they're there, accepting them, and transcending them. Because you will never remove it by denying it. Nobody who winds up in my clinic is there because of something they've accepted. Nobody's broke because of something they've accepted. I'm sorry, I hate to say that, but they have accepted certain things, but there's parts of them that want one thing and another part that wants another, and they're not talking. We need to get all of our parts on the same page. So when you create these affirmations, when you create these things that you want to create, pay very, very close attention to those icky things in the background. Things you want to try and ignore. The things you want to stuff down. That's what we need to clean up. We clean those up, you'll take off like a rocket.
Things in the background.
That's the way the unconscious mind communicates, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't go with these blaring global universal trumpets and fanfare. It's these little whispers in the background, these little notions.
Well, are there certain questions you should ask
Yes.
yourself so that you know what
Lots of questions that you can't ask. But we'd be here all night. Again, I'm going to take you as far as I can. But if you just understand the roots of your own resistance, what causes them, and how to tweak what you do, you can begin to streamline the process. You can begin to take charge of your own brain, your own nervous system. And then life just gets better. Because the best part is, tonight's the worst you'll ever be at it. First time you learn anything is the worst. You didn't know anything. But what would you be like if you just kept practicing this? You just did it every day. Focused on feeling good. Focused on pleasure, desire.
Magnifying glass.
Hey, I didn't make the system, I just report it, right?
That's intense.
But so when we start even work like this, when we're manifesting, when we're trying to create a program, we need to be self-aware enough to know when there's a little fly in the ointment. When there's a little bug on our plate, right? And those are the things we need to search out. Those are the dominant thoughts because they're there on autopilot. Which means anytime you're moving through the world and there's something in your environment that has some relation to that event, that experience, it's going to fire. We need to clean them out. That makes sense? We need to find them, by the way, we don't have to be spick and span. Okay? There's only a few things that usually hold us back. And if we find that linchpin, a lot of it just falls. Okay? All right, here's what we're going to do now. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Go caffeinate yourself, go sugar yourself, relieve your bad energy. We're going to come back, we're going to practice feeling really good for no reason.
Get some endorphins.
Go.